This is Marvel Phase 4, beginning with Black Widow and ending with Black Panther 2. A lot of fans have been surprised that the films have not had a clear direction on where it's headed as well as the TV shows. Even though we had the introduction of Daredevil, the return of Tobey and Andrew, Spider-Man's, and the multiverse is wide open, allowing for the return of Professor X. This is the complete MCU Phase 4 story so far. But going in order of the events, what happened after the snap or the blip where everyone came back? Well, this really affected a lot of people, and we begin with Wanda in a show that twists your mind in every episode. We follow Wanda, who after the events of Endgame goes and looks for Vision's body, and he has been torn apart and is going to be used to make money. This is the introduction of the other side villain of WandaVision, this being Sword director Tyler Hayward, who only sees Vision as money and not as a being. Wanda gave us something fresh where we follow the story of Wanda living this lie where she created a fake Vision and can control everyone in this town, and creating it based on memories of her life with her family when they used to watch sitcoms. The show also gave us the introduction of Agatha Harkness, a witch in control of the Darkhold.
It's the book of the town.
She was the one that goes to this town to discover of the power of one known as the Scarlet Witch, a persona that is in the Darkhold, created by Shaitan, something that we see in Doctor Strange 2. This book is important as we see it later in that film. Agatha is also going to have her own show and is rumored to appear in Ironheart as a mentor to the villain. Another part of the show is the introduction of White Vision, where Tyler used Chaos magic to bring the Vision back online. The show also introduced Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Maria Rambeau, who you may know from Captain Marvel, as well as how she got her powers in the show. In the mid-credit scene, a Skrull invites her to go up. This can be Sword or just a normal spaceship. Monica is sent by Tyler to investigate the Westworld anomaly. We also see the return of FBI agent Jimmy Woo, who is part of the investigation, as well as Darcy, who you may know from Thor, and more recently Thor Love and Thunder. Now part of the show is the life of Wanda and her family, who she created using Chaos magic. Her kids are real in this space, and this motivation of her love for her kids is what she does in Doctor Strange 2. Her kids are important as they're Wiccan and Speed in the comic and part of the Young Avengers. We can see the beginning of the forming of that group, which you can see here, as well as how throughout Phase 4, we're gonna get more and more members of the Young Avengers. After defeating Agatha Harkness and going full Scarlet Witch, Agatha is kept a prisoner in this town. How she will be back, this will be explored in Phase 5. In the post-credit scene, we can see the beginning of Wanda reading the Darkhold, and the next time we see her is in Doctor Strange 2. The Darkhold has corrupted her mind, and she will start doing crazy things.
This is me being reasonable.
But also, this is gonna make her super powerful. We will be talking about the events of Doctor Strange 2 in a moment. So the next events is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, taking place around June 2024, where you follow the characters and how their life is going. This is where Sam is working with the US Air Force overseas to rescue a hostage from Lav, a terrorist group led by George Baytruck, who we first saw in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Sam is also working with his partner Joaquin Torres, who is also Falcon in the comics, and this is something that is set up for his film Captain America 4. The show introduced a lot of new things and returning characters. One of those returning characters is Zemo, who you may know from Captain America Civil War. He helps Sam and Bucky in finding information in Madripoor, and you cannot forget the iconic dance. They also show us the Princess Bar, a location that Wolverine is, and connecting to She-Hulk, we can see him soon. Zemo at the end is taken back to the raft, and there's no doubt that he will be back in Thunderbolts, a film releasing in Phase 5 and slowly building the team. The show connects to the future of the MCU, including Captain America 4, but also the past, giving us the introduction of Isaiah Bradley, a super soldier of the Korean War who was imprisoned and used as a blood experiment by Hydra for 30 years before being released. He's the grandfather of Elijah Bradley, who is Patriot in the comics and member of the Young Avengers, as well, building more that team. So what happens during the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Well, the villain or anti-hero in the show is Carly, who created the Flag Smashers, giving them powers with a take on the Super Soldier Serum, created by someone named the Power Broker, who is revealed to be Agent Carter as well from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So we can see how that film has an impact way later in Phase 4. She went into crime following her blacklist and has taken the road to do crazy stuff in Madripoor, a location you may know from the comics. Another part of the show is Sam's decision not to be Captain America and give the shield to the US government. We also see the return of Rhodey. This connects to the Armor Wars show. We're going to see Rhodey following different people, stealing Tony's tech, something that is teased in No Way Home. The US government decides to give the shield to John Walker, a man that wants to be the best soldier instead of the right man. We also follow Bucky and his life in New York, leaving the pain of his past of being the Winter Soldier. Together, he and Sam team up with Baron Zemo to stop the Flag Smashers. The show ends with new Captain America, and we cannot wait to see him in Captain America 4, as well as the next Avengers film. We must go back to what happened after Civil War. With the film, Black Widow explores the story of Natasha and her life. We're introduced to that side of history with the character of Red Guardian and explore more about the Red Room program. Another character we introduce is Yelena, who comes later in Phase 4 like Hawkeye, but also the introduction of Taskmaster. She's going to be as well a member of Thunderbolts, if rumors are correct. So we already have 2 more members in that team. In the post-credit scene, way after the events of the snap, Yelena can be seen working with another important character who may be the one building a group of villains. Someone that we see both in Black Widow and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She's none other than Contessa Valentina, and she's a well-known character in the comics and has a history with Nick Fury. She's going to be Nick Fury, but for villains of this world, putting them together, and there's no doubt that we're going to see her in the Thunderbolts movie. One of those characters is US Agent, who seem to have new clothes at the end of the series. Now let's jump into the multiverse, different realities, and what-if situations, where we follow Loki taking from a timeline where the Avengers travel back in time and then stop escaping with the Tesseract. The show introduced variants and different versions of a character, including Kid Loki, who also is a member of the Young Avengers, more and more building that team. The introduction of Lady Loki cannot be ignored, and the relationship they build in the show. A huge aspect is the different versions of Loki and how they're taken from this sacred timeline. This was all the realities together in one. This was caused by He Who Remains. This is a variant from Kang, who's going to be the next big bad in Phase 5, beginning with his introduction in Ant-Man 3. The end of the show is what allowed different realities to merge, like we see in No Way Home. With the show being renewed, there's no doubt that Kang will play a part in the next season. Now, what happens during summer 2024? After Spider-Man's identity is revealed and he fights Mysterio, he must find a way to fix this. He's getting a lot of tension in school due to his identity being known, and the film explored the multiverse, connecting more and more everything that has been released in movies and television. Peter's forgiven from his crimes, and his lawyer is none other than Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. He's going to show up next in She-Hulk as well, and the upcoming Echo show, as well as his own show. Trying to fix his mistakes, he breaks the spell created by Doctor Strange, bringing the villains from other realities, including the iconic Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard. And hey, you cannot forget the post-credit scene where Venom gets informed on everything that has happened in the MCU. Now in Spider-Man No Way Home, we're introduced to a new character who is Agent Cleary, someone that is from Damage Control, and we also are introduced to another agent that is Sadie Deaver. She comes up later in the show of Ms. Marvel, how everything is connected more and more. The film showed that the multiverse can be explored easily and without any issues. At the end of this iconic movie, after teaming up with other variants of Spider-Man, creating an iconic moment. The end of the film is where nobody remembers Peter is Spider-Man, and everyone he loved has forgotten him. Something to know is that Spider-Man No Way Home takes place from June to December. Now moving into other realities in the show of What If. This show was the multiverse going insane, giving us the introduction of the Watcher, he who observes realities and his heroes, and what if moments, from Peggy becoming Captain Carter, in a reality where zombies are real, connecting to the next show, Marvel Zombies, coming soon. What If shows how realities can come together, bringing heroes and villains together. So what else can be explored in this epic phase? We continue with the events of Shang-Chi. This explored the past of the MCU, but as well the future, connecting more and more who are going to be the next Avengers. The film explored the history of Shang-Chi and his father, the leader of the Ten Rings. This brought up the supernatural and fantasy into the MCU, and we cannot wait to see where he's going to come out next. Throughout the movie, we got the return of the Abomination, and this scene connects to the She-Hulk show. He's going to be another member of the Thunderbolts. At the end of the film, after defeating his dad, and a dragon, Wong appears and speaks with Shang-Chi, where the Ten Rings are a beacon for something else. Here we see Hulk as well as Captain Marvel. The post-credit scene is before She-Hulk. We don't know who or what the beacon is, but for sure it set up the future of the MCU as well. After this are the events of the Eternals. It's explaining in Infinity War how it was the Big Bang that caused the Infinity Stones, and we can conclude that it was the Celestials or this King Arishem that created the Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones were for the flow of time to move in harmony as well as the universe. This is just my theory, and they're the ones that created different universes. The universe is without life and still. This is why they are so important for them to exist. This movie gave us the introduction of this team and their role in the world, how they existed in different time periods, and we get more and more the reveal of the twist in this movie. We meet who they are and their time on Earth, and how they're sent by Arishem to watch over the planet for another celestial to be burned. The reason they're reintroduced is that after Thanos did the snap, it delays the immersion as there was not enough humans. However, when they came back, they makes the immersion happen, and the bird of the Amud, he started to be burned, and Cersei turned him into marble. Throughout this, we see the introduction of Dane, the boyfriend of Cersei, and he's going to be important in the future. He's a nephew of Nathan Garrett, who is the original Black Knight. In the post-credit scene, he opens the case of the Ebony Blade, and we hear a voice in the background. This is confirmed to be Blade, a new hero that we're also going to meet in his upcoming movie, opening the supernatural side of the MCU. The world since then has ignored this, and is not mentioned until She-Hulk, where they discuss those events. In the comics, the base of operations of the Avengers isn't as celestial, so this may be the direction they're headed. Multiverse of Madness is around 2 years after the events of Westview, the Darkhold corrupted Wanda, and the film explored what-if moments but also variants. This movie is a story of the decisions of Steven and how it affects others, exploring the multiverse with America Chavez, another member of the Young Avengers, and we can see how they're building this team more and more. Now the film was epic. It brought back Professor X, played by Patrick, a fan casting in Mr. Fantastic connecting to the Fantastic Four film. The film was simple, but it was directed by Sam Raimi, and for sure brought something new to the MCU. We also get an iconic fight between Zombie, Strange, and the Scarlet Witch. At the end of the film, she destroys the Darkhold castle and every Darkhold in every reality, and it seems that she died. However, this connects to the comics in the events of the Young Avengers Children Crusade, where Wiccan and Speed are looking for her, something that we may see in the Young Avengers show. We move into Hawkeye, a family show where Clint must stop someone from using his running suit and the consequences of this. The show gave us the introduction of Echo, Kingpin, as well as the reintroduction of Kate Bishop, another member of the Young Avengers. Together they team up to go against the Tracksuit Mafia, and the first show taking place during Christmas. Moving into the year 2025, this was a year where a lot of trippy world of Moon Knight, which was my favorite show. This show explored different personalities and stopping Arthur Harrow. The show opens the supernatural even more with the gods and the afterlife. The iconic costume in this show was perfect, and everything about it was so different from what we have seen before. Now, currently happening is She-Hulk and the introduction of Jennifer Walters. The show is going to connect the past and the future, introducing Daredevil and so much more. We also had the introduction of Ms. Marvel, a Pakistani from New Jersey who becomes Ms. Marvel, a hero, and this connects to Captain Marvel too. The show also connects to the history of the MCU, exploring this family, and it also gave us the first hint that mutant exists in the MCU and they're coming.
Like a mutation.
We cannot forget Thor Love and Thunder, where Thor teams up with the Guardians for a moment and goes into his journey to discover who's killing the gods, this being Gore the God Butcher. The film also gave us Mighty Thor and explored the gods, including Zeus. This was a good film, but I was expecting more from it. The film also gave us Eternity, someone super important from the comic, and at the end of the film, Thor is now the uncle of Love, the daughter of Gore the God Butcher, connecting to the title, and we also can confirm that maybe she's going to be a member of the Young Avengers. Black Panther 2 has not been released, but we're going to see the introduction of Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, as well as Namor. What is this film going to be after the death of T'Challa? This film is going to have all of us crying, and I cannot wait for November. But that's the complete story of the MCU Phase 4. So many stories and a clear direction where it's headed, the multiverse, Kang, as well as Secret Wars. But what are your thoughts on the story so far? Leave your comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian from BM Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, one.